Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today is the disappearance day of two great personalities, Mukunda Datta and Sridhar Pandit, and it's also Snan Yatra today. So since it's the disappearance day of two... It's not loud enough? So we will sing the prayers to the departed Vaishnavas. Jayanilo Premadana Koruna Prachu Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Heino Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur Kaha Mora Svarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasara Gunata Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bata Juga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kale Kota Gela Gora Nataraj Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Nekutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo Sesa Basangira Sange Jekoi Lobila Sesanga Napaya Kande Narotamada Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachurya Nilo Premadana Karuna Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur Heno Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Charitamrita Ki Jai. All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious Shishi, Guru and Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, begging the blessings of all the Vaishnavas to speak some words in the glorification of these great Vaishnavas whose disappearance day it is today. Today is also Snan Yatra, which is the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath. And in Puri, this is a big function. This is like start of the many celebrations that happen before Rath Yatra. And so at this time, it's actually considered the birthday of Lord Jagannath. I just was reading yesterday, and this is the first time that I actually heard that. It's considered the birthday of Lord Jagannath because that's when Indradumna installed Lord Jagannath and Brahma did the first Abhishek. So this is the celebration of that day, the first Abhishek. And when Lord Jagannath gets this Abhishek, of course, because he's made of wood, the paint will, externally it looked like the paint will be removed. So then they put the Lord in a private place for 15 days, and they repaint the body of the deity. And it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that during that time, Lord Chaitanya felt great separation from Lord Jagannath when Lord Jagannath was away. And he would go to another place called Alalanath, right? Alalanath. And just waiting and eagerly waiting for Lord Jagannath to come back. It's also described that during these 15 days when Jagannath is away, that it's considered like he's sick because he just had a bathing ceremony in, it's usually in a public place, and so during that time they give him hot teas and things that will help him recover. Of course, it's all a pastime. Krishna's pretending to be sick to get that love of his devotees. So that's a little bit about Snan Yatra. And I would like to focus more on the two disappearance days that are today, Mukunda Datta and Sridhar Pandit. Sridhar Pandit is also known as Kolavecha Sridhar. And I feel very grateful to be speaking on these two personalities, because it happens to be that of all the Leelas of Lord Chaitanya, I really have a particular fondness of two, and both of these personalities are involved with those two pastimes. So I feel very, very grateful to be able to speak about them. So this is the verse that I'm going to speak on first. This is a verse glorifying Mukunda Datta from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's Adi Leela, chapter 10, which is the branches of the Chaitanya tree. And this verse talks about Mukunda Datta, and then later in the same chapter, in text 67, there's going to be a verse about Sridhar Pandit. So we'll first do this one about Mukunda. Shri Mukunda Datta Shaka Prabhura Samadhyai. Mukunda Datta Shaka Prabhura Samadhyai. Yanhara Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Gosani. Translation. Mukunda Datta, a class friend of Lord Chaitanya, was another branch of the Chaitanya tree. Lord Chaitanya danced while he sang. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Mukunda Datta was born in the Chattagram district in the village of Chanhara, which is under the jurisdiction of the police station named Patia. This village is situated 10 kroshas, or about 20 miles, from the home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. In the Gaura Ganadesh Deepika, it is said, Vraje stito gayako yo madhukanta madhuvrato Mukunda Vasudevoto Dato Goranga Gayako. In Vraja, there are two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhuvrata. They appeared in Chaitanya Leela as Mukunda and Vasudev Datta, who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukunda Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukunda Datta using tricks of logic. This is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, chapters 11 and 12. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukunda Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Leela. It was by his endeavor that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became a disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as stated in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 7. When Mukunda Datta sang in the courtyard of Srivas Prabhu, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing. And when Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as Sata Prahariya, Mukunda Datta inaugurated the function by singing. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Mukunda Datta by calling him Kada Jatiya Beta, because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 10. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as the goddess of fortune to dance in the house of Chandrasekhar, Mukunda Datta began the first song. Before disclosing his desire to take the renounced order of life, Lord Chaitanya first went to the house of Mukunda Datta. But at that time, Mukunda Datta requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue his Sankirtan movement for a few days more before taking sannyas. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 26. The information of Lord Chaitanya's accepting the renounced order was made known to Gadadhar Pandit, Chandrasekhar Acharya, and Mukunda Datta by Nityananda Prabhu and therefore all of them went to Katua and arranged for kirtan and all the paraphernalia for Lord Chaitanya's acceptance of sannyas. After the Lord took sannyas, they all followed him, especially Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Prabhu, and Govinda, who followed him all the way to Purushottama Kshetra. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Kanda Chapter 2. In the place known as Jaleshwara, Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyas rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukunda Datta was also present at that time. He went every year from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. Oma Gyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Ritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Iti Namane Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarine Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, begging the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavas here to please bless me to speak something on these wonderful personalities. It's a great fortune to glorify these personalities. Just by remembering them, we get uplifted and our consciousness changes and we can beg for their mercy, which is what we need to advance in our spiritual journeys. I was just appreciating this purport of Srila Prabhupada, how he put together everything, like from all the different sources to kind of give a whole summary of Mukunda Datta's, all the references of Mukunda Datta. And later we are going to, it's going to be text 67, which is about Sridhar Pandit. I thought of a theme based on both of these personalities, and the theme is how Krishna is conquered by love and devotion. He doesn't care so much about what qualifications we have, or what kind of birth we have, or aristocracy, knowledge. He cares about the love and devotion. And both of these personalities, I feel like, exemplify that. Their simplicity, their complete dependence on the Lord, and their pure devotion completely conquered Lord Chaitanya. So particularly, I'm going to mention about the Mahaprakash Leela of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya did not, most of the time in his Leela, he did not manifest his divinity as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, when anybody glorified him as the Supreme Lord, he would cover his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu. He did not like to hear himself glorified. But on rare occasions, he would manifest. It would come up, like, for example, when Srivas Pandit was worshipping Lord Nrsingadev or Varahadev, and then he came and he said, I am Varaha, and he took a pot of, and he was in the mood of Lord Varaha going down the streets. And one time he was in the mood of Lord Nrsingadev and scaring everybody with his, but it was rare that he would get in these moods and show, and he would usually feel really embarrassed after, like, oh, what did I do? But on this occasion, the Mahaprakash Leela is very special because he sat on the altar and he requested the devotees to worship him and to offer prayers to him. And he began speaking to each devotee individually and telling them how he intervened in their lives and how he gave them special mercy. It's such a sweet Leela. It's very touching, actually, how he personally focuses on each and every devotee and tells about, do you remember how you were worried, Srivas Pandit, about the Muslims are going to come and attack your house, and then it was me who came and was the boatman who brought you across the river, and you and your family. And then other people, he did the same. He was reminding them of how he was present in their lives. So the pastime of Mukunda Datta that I want to focus on was that one in the Mahaprakash Leela, which has always touched me a lot whenever I read this pastime. So, because it shows the simplicity and devotion, which is what I wanted to focus on here. So Mukunda was a great devotee, and Mukunda Datta was a classmate of Lord Chaitanya, as we just read, and he had a beautiful voice. Whenever he would sing, Lord Chaitanya would just go in ecstasy and dance. And he knew the moods of Lord Chaitanya, so he would sing the appropriate songs to bring Lord Chaitanya into different moods. It says here in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, that he was a great devotee and dear to everyone. When he would sing, then Lord Chaitanya would dance. But on this occasion, the Mahaprakash Leela, he was calling each and every devotee, but he was not calling Mukunda, his classmate from his childhood, his dearmost friend who would sing for him, and he was not calling Mukunda. And Mukunda was sitting behind a curtain, it says, and he did not come unless the Lord called him. And Lord Chaitanya, everyone was wondering, why is Lord Chaitanya not calling him? And finally, Srivas Pandit said, "O Lord of the universe, how has Mukunda offended you? Mukunda is very dear to you. He is your life and soul. Whose heart does not melt hearing Mukunda singing? He's attached to devotional service, is always careful. He doesn't see any faults in others," and like that, he was glorifying Mukunda. And he said, even if he committed an offense, you should forgive him. He's your dear servant. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Don't speak these words again." He takes, in one hand, he takes a straw in his teeth and he acts very humble. On the other hand, he takes a stick and beats me. And what Lord Chaitanya was referring to in this case is that Mukunda Datta was very liberal and would go and it's hard, I don't know exactly if there's one time that happened or it was multiple times, but he went to functions that were like a Mayavadi would be speaking, and he would go to different kind of be very liberal in hearing different people speaking. Does anyone know more about that, like exactly? Because it doesn't really describe like what the situation was, why he was hearing from a Mayavadi. But anyway, at some point, he attended some other classes, and Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, were really, really strong against hearing from Mayavadis. It completely destroys your bhakti. So that's why Srila Prabhupada always will smash it, and Lord Chaitanya also was very, very heavy about anybody who would hear Mayavadi philosophy. Because basically it's destroying the root of bhakti, which is what we're all trying to cultivate. So basically Lord Chaitanya said, "Don't speak like that again. He's not qualified to see me. He mingles with other sampradayas. He committed offense against he committed offense against bhakti by hearing these other things." So Mukunda was hearing everything from outside, and he thought, "Mahaprabhu knew that I did not respect devotional service due to the advice of some guru. This is the potency of Lord Chaitanya." So then Mukunda thought, "There is no need to continue my life. Today I will give up this offensive body, for I don't know when I will see him again." Then Mukunda said, "Listen, Srivas, ask the Lord when I shall see him again." Mukunda was shedding incessant tears, and all the devotees were crying, seeing Mukunda's distress. The devotees are so sensitive to other Vaishnavas, and they always try to help other devotees. So they were very, very heartbroken to see this. And so Srivas asked Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, "After millions of births, he will get my darshan." And as soon as Mukunda heard from the Lord that he would certainly attain him, he became immersed in spiritual happiness. He began to enthusiastically dance while exclaiming, "I will attain him! I will attain him!" In this way, Lord Chaitanya's servant became overwhelmed in ecstasy. And that's the part that always really struck me and touched me so much. Because for most of us, like for me, if I heard that after millions of births you're going to get Lord Radha Golokananda's mercy, I would be crushed and would feel really, really despondent. But Mukunda is here so happy and so blissful, which shows that mood of simplicity and complete dependence on the Lord, which captures the Lord. That simplicity and that devotion, that complete faith in the Lord, completely captures the heart of the Lord. On hearing the statement, "He will see me," Mukunda began to dance there in great happiness. On seeing Mukunda, Lord Vishrambar smiled and ordered, "Bring Mukunda here at once." All the Vaishnavas called, "Come, Mukunda, come!" But Mukunda was so happy, he didn't even know what was happening. He just kept dancing and dancing. The Lord said, "Oh, Mukunda, you're freed from offenses. You can come now and see me. You have my mercy. You can take my mercy." So by the order of the Lord, all the devotees brought Mukunda, who fell to the ground on seeing the Lord. The Lord said, get up, my dear Mukunda. You do not have even a fraction of an offense. All the faults of your bad association are vanquished. I have been defeated by you." So here is the point. The Supreme Lord is controlled by love. And Bhaktisiddhanta has commentary, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commentaries on the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he focuses on that, how the Lord is conquered by love. And because of Mukunda's offense, Lord Chaitanya made a time frame of millions of births that you'll have my mercy. But because Mukunda had such intense eagerness for devotional service, you have, Lord Chaitanya is saying, you have surpassed the time determined by me in a moment. So because of, Lord Chaitanya set a time limit, but because of Mukunda's eagerness, Lord Chaitanya had to completely eliminate that and reduce it to a moment. So my potency has been defeated by your potency. That's Bhaktisiddhanta's commentary on these words of Lord Chaitanya. So it reminds us of Yashoda Devi, who's trying to bind Krishna, and the two fingers, like Krishna's potency is, I want to play with my friends. I don't want to be bound up. And, and his Ishvar potency is there. Like no one can defeat Krishna when he wants something. But then at the same time, Mother Yashoda's great determination, and she was going to keep, as long as it takes, I'm going to see, I need to instruct my child. I can't just let him do anything. He's my child, and as long as it takes, I'm going to keep trying. That determination completely made Krishna's, completely conquered Krishna, and that Ishvar Bhav went away, and that Karuna, Krishna gave us mercy, and then Mother Yashoda was able to bind Krishna. I declared that you would achieve me after millions of births, but you have become freed from them within a moment. You were confident that my words are infallible, thus you have captured me in your heart forever. You have captured me in your heart forever. Bhaktisiddhanta says, since the degree of your devotional service is so great, you accepted my words on your head and believed that your devotional propensity would again be revived. But at that time you were convinced that you would attain devotional service after millions of births. Because you have eternally captured me in your heart and placed firm faith in my words, I can never actually become averse to you. And then Lord Chaitanya began glorifying him more, saying, you're my eternal servant. When you sing, I'm just so happy. Please, I was just joking with you. Don't worry about it. But Mukunda, of course, his prayers are full of humility. And saying, actually, yes, I don't have, like you said, I don't have devotion. I'm seeing you, but I'm not really seeing you. Like Duryodhana saw you, he didn't have any devotion. All the kings, when you came to steal Rukmini, they saw you, but they didn't feel any happiness in seeing you. And he was giving example after example of people who saw Krishna, but couldn't feel any happiness. On the other hand, he says, people like the Brahmana's wives and the florist Sudama and Mathura, when they're so simple people, when they saw you, they immediately felt happiness. So he was putting himself in the category of people like the friends of Rukmi and Duryodhana, and the washerman who in Mathura who prayed for it's described here that he wanted to see Krishna. It's really interesting. Lord Chaitanya, after hearing Mukunda's prayers, Lord Chaitanya says, yes, yes, what you say is right. Even in Lord Chaitanya gives the example of the washerman. He says that the washerman wanted to see the Lord. He underwent austerities for millions of lifetimes in order to see me. Even though out of great fortune he achieved my darshan, he did not obtain any happiness because he was devoid of devotional service. I do not show any compassion to those who are devoid of devotional service. Therefore, they are bereft of the happiness derived from my darshan. So they can see Krishna, but they don't feel anything in their heart. In fact, they sometimes feel, and this washerman did, he felt, what is this person doing, taking Kamsa's clothes? He felt angry and detested. He did not feel any happiness in seeing the Lord. Whereas most people, when they saw the Lord, they would practically faint because he's so amazing and so beautiful. So Bhaktisiddhanta says, one cannot have darshan of the Lord if he is less fortunate. It took the washerman millions of births to achieve the Lord's darshan, yet because he was not inclined to the service of the Lord, he could not obtain the Lord's mercy. I am never pleased with those who are devoid of devotional service. Even if karmis on the strength of thousands of pious activities achieve my darshan, they cannot achieve my mercy. Therefore, even if they achieve my darshan, they are cheated from the happiness derived from my darshan. So you can pray for the darshan, but better to pray for pure love, because that's what's really important. You may have darshan of Krishna, but not appreciate it. So this is a little bit about Mukunda's simplicity, and how that simplicity and devotion and complete eagerness completely captured the Lord, and how Lord Chaitanya had to completely adjust his plan to give mercy to Mukunda. Now the other example is Sridhar Pandit, who is also known as Kulavecha Sridhar, which is another very dear personality in Chaitanya Leela for me. So we'll read this verse in it's text 67 of the same chapter, Adi Leela, chapter 10, the branches of Chaitanya tree. Kolavecha Sridhar Prabhu Rapriya Dasa Yan Hasane Prabhu Kare Nitya Parihasa. The 29th branch was Sridhar, a trader in banana tree bark. He was very dear servant of the Lord. On many occasions the Lord played jokes on him. Purport. Sridhar was a poor brahmana who made a living by selling banana tree bark to be made into cups. Most probably he had a banana tree garden and collected the leaves, skin, and pulp of the banana tree to sell daily in the market. He spent 50% of his income to worship the Ganges, and the balance he used for his subsistence. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his civil disobedience movement in defiance of the Qazi, Sridhar danced in jubilation. The Lord used to drink water from his water jug. Sridhar presented a squash to Sachi Devi to cook before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. Every year he went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. According to Kavi Karnapur, Sridhar was a cowherd boy of Vrindavan, whose name was Kusumasava. In his Gauraganadesh Deepika 133, it is stated, Kola Vecha Taya Kyata Pandita Sridharav Dvija Asid Vraje Hasya Karo Nyo Namna Kusumasava. The cowherd boy, known as Kusumasava in Krishna Leela, later became Kolavecha Sridhar during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela at Navadvip. So, Kolavecha Sridhar, I don't know if any of you have been to his home in Navadvip. It's right near the house of, it's actually right near the temple of Jagannath there. I forget now the name of that area, but the Qazi's Samadhi is there, Lord Jagannath's temple is there, and then if you go in the fields, we went on a parikram last year, or 2 years ago, and there's a little area where they have a small little temple for commemorating Kolavecha Sridhar's little hut, and it's a beautiful place, just surrounded by trees, and I could just, when you're there, you can just visualize these banana trees. I don't know if I saw any banana trees, but Sridhar would just, he had a very simple little hut, leaking roof, one room only. He had a small water jug that's described he would use for external uses. which means like washing your feet before you enter the house. It was an iron. It was an iron, made of iron, very poor metal, and it was so damaged with dents all over it that it says it's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, even a thief wouldn't even glance at it. It was so badly damaged. And he had to hammer it out because it was so dented and so smashed up. But Lord Chaitanya, as we will read more about that, but Lord Chaitanya, when he was Nimai Pandit, he would go and have sweet pastimes with different residents of Navadvip, asking, kind of similar to Lord Krishna going into Mathura and asking the florist and different people, can you give me this? Can you give me that? So Lord Chaitanya, when he was Nimai Pandit, he would go through Navadvip and he would go to the florist or people who, the astrologer, and ask them for services. And then he would enjoy pastimes with different residents of Navadvip. And Kolaveta Sridhar was so poor, his subsistence was just from his banana tree in his backyard. He would make little cups, banana cups to sell in the market. And then the flowers, banana flowers, they use actually banana flowers in cooking, in Bengali cooking. And then of course the bananas and different parts of the tree, the bark, he would sell it in different, he would use for selling, and then 50% of what he got he would use for himself. Himself, 50% he would use for worshipping. They didn't even bother bargaining with him because they knew that he's going to give the lowest, simple, he was just straightforward. He was not trying to get extra profit from anybody. So Lord Chaitanya Nimai Pandit had a very sweet relationship with him. He would come and in one way torment him because he would say, why are you charging so much for this? You should give it to me half the price of what you're giving. And Kolaveta Sridhar said, no, this is the fair price. Just take it for what I'm giving. I'm not charging you any extra. Nimai Pandit would tease him and say, since you're giving me so much trouble, you should just give it to me for free. And he would try to take it, and then Kolaveta Sridhar would hold on to it, and there would be a little tug of war. And then it's described, Sridhar, at the same time, he would see Nimai Pandit, and he would just fall in love with him, and he's so beautiful, and let him just have it. And he would just give it anything Nimai wanted, and say, yes, please just take it. And in this way, there was a very sweet exchange between Nimai and Sridhar. And one day, Nimai said to Sridhar, in a kind of a joking way, why are you so poor? You always chant the holy name of the Lord. Sridhar would stay up all night in ecstasy chanting the holy name. He felt so much bliss in chanting that he would chant very loudly, and the neighbors were trying to sleep, and they would get very disturbed with Sridhar's chanting. But Sridhar was so immersed in ecstasy chanting, he wouldn't even think about that. He was just so absorbed. So Nimai said, Sridhar, you always chant the holy name. Why are you so poor? What is the reason for your suffering? You deserve the husband and master of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. Why then are you always in need of food and clothing? And Sridhar said, I'm not starving. You can see I'm wearing clothes. They're not very good, but at least my body is covered, Sridhar said. And then he said, yeah, that's true, but then your clothes are torn in many places. You have no rice. Just look around you. People who worship Durga, they have so much opulence. Why are you in so much poverty? And then Sridhar's like speaking actually, the king in the palace and the birds in the tree. Everyone's just eating food and whatever we can get, and I'm just happy doing devotional service. And he was explaining to Nimai, and Nimai was, by doing this pastime, he's trying to get Sridhar to explain that a devotee, his opulence is bhakti to Krishna. His opulence is not all these things, because he's just satisfied serving Krishna. And Krishna is just satisfied and conquered by that love, simplicity of his devotee. Krishna doesn't want opulence and opulent food and, water offered in a beautiful cup. He's prepared to eat the simplest food, water from the simplest cup, if it's offered with love and devotion. So then Nimai said, I think you're hiding a treasure, and you're not telling anybody. Someday I'm going to expose you. You're hiding a big treasure, somewhere, and I'm going to expose it at some point. And Sridhar said, what are you talking about? I don't have anything. I don't have any treasure. Then, again, Mahaprakash Leela, which is so sweet. Lord Chaitanya is calling all the devotees, and then he says, now go out and go to this place, and he told them where to go, and you will hear a devotee chanting the holy name with such sincerity. He's Sridhar. Call him here. So they went and they found Sridhar. They brought him, and Sridhar was so ecstatic. And it says that Lord Chaitanya showed his Krishna Balaram form, because Sridhar in the spiritual world is Gopa. So Lord Chaitanya manifested Krishna Balaram in front of Sridhar, and Sridhar was in ecstasy. And he began offering beautiful prayers also to Lord Chaitanya. I don't have